Hello everyone and welcome to a new video by Liminal Spaces. Just wanted to do a quick channel update and then a book haul. I've gotten some interesting books since we last did a book haul. First off, just a quick channel update. Currently, I am reading Deus Irae by Philip K. Dick and Roger Zelazny. I've hit the third chapter and gone a little bit beyond, but that third chapter really got me hooked into the book. This is absolutely wild. I think somebody commented that most of it is completely incomprehensible. So far, I feel like I've been keeping keeping the narrative in sight, and hopefully that continues to be the case. We'll see as it goes on. But either way, I am having a ton of fun with it. If you want to join me, absolutely grab a copy, a Kindle copy. I don't know if there is one. I don't think there's an Audible copy, but you can give it a look. But either way, yeah, join us, and we can talk about this as we move through it. Unfortunately, I have stopped on Dangerous Visions. I'm going to give this a break for a while, as I discussed at the end of my last video. I don't think this is the perfect way to introduce myself to science fiction writers that I haven't read yet, because it seems that they take the most kind of shocking stuff they can think of to write about in this particular anthology. So I'm giving this one a break for a while. I do plan on reading short stories from authors that I like, and then I'm slowly going to poke around for another anthology that I can start reading through. I am also planning to read The Shining. I'm actually about 200 pages into it. I took it on a trip a couple weeks back and just read in the car and got a good chunk of the way through. So I'm going to finish that and talk about that. It's so interesting to reread something that I loved so much as a teenager, and to reread it now and find parts of it that I never even understood. So I'm gonna take a bit of a review and a deep read into The Shining, and look at that book again. I also plan to do some Ray Bradbury short stories. His book Quicker Than the Eye came out, I believe, in 1994. This is my first edition copy. 1996 it came out. I plan on doing a short story from this. I think it's called The Other Road or The Other Highway. It's called The Other Highway. I got this when it came out in 1996. One of my favorite Ray Bradbury books, and that story specifically really stuck with me. So I'm going to make a video on that one next. So if you'd like to read it in the next week, you can expect a video from me about that one soon. My brother Jason, the other half of this channel, plans on continuing his Blade Runner videos. I know that I did the novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, a deep read, and then he continued that on by looking at Blade Runner, and next he's going to, or is hoping to, look at Blade Runner 2049, which should end our whole Blade Runner week that we had. We didn't really expect it to go that way, but you know, once you talk about Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, you really want to talk about Blade Runner. So he's going to do Blade Runner 2049, and then he also plans to go see Dune on Sunday. So he's expecting to do a Dune video, hopefully out by Monday. We're all very excited for this, for the release of this second movie. And I'm sure most of you are too, so expect his thoughts on that on Monday. That's about it for the channel. We have been so pleasantly surprised and shocked by the number of subscribers, but also by the incredible comments we've been getting on these videos. The conversations that are going on in the comments are absolutely incredible, and I feel like it's kind of a community forming, and I really, really enjoy that. And we appreciate, both my brother and I appreciate all the wonderful comments and all the conversations you guys have been having about these pieces of media and pieces of art. And really just thank you for taking the time to watch these videos and taking the time to comment on them and be a part of this conversation. Thank you so much. Now, a quick book haul. This is just stuff I've found in the last couple of weeks that I'm very excited about. The first one, probably one of the best of the finds, is a first edition Ace Dune paperback. This is the first time that Dune was released in paperback. Ace N3. It's not in the greatest condition. I think it got a little wet at one point, but it's not warped, which is amazing. And the spine has almost no creasing on it, which is incredible. Now, I do have the book club Chilton version of Dune, so I don't really need this. So I'll probably, I don't know, sell it or give it to a student that really wants to read it. But I just couldn't pass it up. I think I paid like 80 cents for it total. And you just don't find Dune stuff for that cheap anymore. It's absolutely incredible. Next, I found a fun older copy of Tristan and Isolde. And I, of course, grabbed it because of the Zelazny video I did recently. I have other versions of this, but I just, when I saw it, I thought of the video and all the conversations that we've had through the video and the deep reading of Roger Zelazny's The Dream Maker. And so I grabbed this just because it made me think of all that. So, very cool little book. Next, I found some old Ace doubles. I absolutely love these. I have quite a few behind me. You can't see it because the camera cuts off, but the shelf above here is all Ace doubles. And I have about 30 of them up there. But I found 3 more that I did not have. I've got the one that's got John Baxter along with Lynn Carter. Not a huge fan of Lynn Carter. Although I do love his writing on writing. He wrote about Tolkien, and I think he was behind Ballantyne's adult fantasy fiction line, right? I'm going to check this just to make sure. Yeah. Yes, he was the editor for the Ballantine adult fantasy series, which I absolutely love. You also can't see those, but down at the bottom shelf here, I have quite a few of those. I can't say I have a whole collection, but one day I'd like to. So yeah, I really respect him as an editor, and I really, really enjoy his writing on fantasy, but not so much his actual fiction. I wasn't a big fan of what I looked at. Not familiar with John Baxter at all, but the condition of this is absolutely incredible. This is just a beautiful copy. Next, I got a book with Philip E. High, Invader on My Back, and Destination Saturn by David Grinnell and Lynn Carter. Don't know either of these stories. One day I hope to read them. Another Lynn Carter, the Tower of the Medusa. I think the person who I got these from, must have been a Lynn Carter collector. And then I got Car Kabbalah by George H. Smith. Science Fights Magic on Earth's Twin. I don't know. I'll grab any Ace double, honestly. They're just so cool. Just so neat and fun to collect. A lot of Philip K. Dick's earliest releases, their first edition copies, are Ace doubles. I'll show you my collection of those when I do library tour later. I found an incredible Keith Laumer, A Plague of Demons. Best thing about this is the cover. I really grabbed it for the cover. I'm not familiar with Laumer. I know that he is pretty dang important as a science fiction writer. He comes up a lot. So I am looking forward to checking out this one just because of the cover. It looks absolutely fantastic, like it's going to be a fun read. I got The If Reader of Science Fiction, edited by Frederick Pohl. These are stories pulled from If magazine, and I have a pretty epic collection of If and Galaxy and Analog magazines. So I might already have all these stories, but I like it having it in this form. Also, this thing is in really wonderful condition. It's an Ace book. Had to grab it. A.E. Van Vogt, The Weapon Makers. This is an Ace book. I know I already have a copy of this. You might be able to see it in the video. I think you can see Van Vogt. But this is such an old Ace version, and the cover is so neat. I had to grab it just in case mine was older. I guess we should check right now. Okay, I found my original copy of The Weapon Makers, and the one I got, thinking I might need to replace it, and they're exactly the same. And the one that I had originally is in better shape than this one, so this will go into a donator sale pile. Looks like I did not actually need it, but how can you resist an Ace paperback that's that old by Van Vogt? Van Vogt's interesting. For some odd reason, when I collected sci-fi just out in the world, right, he came up the most. So my Van Vogt collection is huge, and I know he was a very prolific writer. And I have read The World of Noel A. I think that's the name of it. And I wasn't a huge fan, but there was so much... Well, that's not true. I liked it. There was so much good going for it. But for me, the negatives of it kind of slightly outweighed the positives. But I'm not ready to give up on Van Vogt yet. I think that for the Golden Age, he was probably the weirdest of them all. And I want more of that. I want to figure out what other weirdness he had in store. A couple more Van Vogts I got. The War Against the Rule. I don't even know if I have this one. I grabbed this, of course, because I thought it was older than... that it might be older than the copy I have. I just went and looked, and it is older than the copy that I have. So I will probably just make this a reader copy that I can read. And this one will go on my shelf just because I like the older that I can get. I also got The House That Stood Still. Great cover on this one. Again, I'm going to check now and see if I have an older copy on my shelf. So this is the one that I found out in the wild, and this is the copy that I have. This one is a pocketbook that was released more recently. It's got a price of $2.25 on it, so that I know it was released recently. Yeah, 1980. This copy of The House That Stood Still has a 50-cent price on it, and it was released in 65. So I should keep this one. The problem is this one is signed by A.E. Van Vogt. So the truth is I'll probably move this to a signed section of my library and keep this one for a reading copy for the shelf. Because I like this one better, but you can't beat a signature. So, and last but not least, Van Vogt's most popular novel, I believe, is the only one I was never able to find in the wild until now. So I don't even have a collection of, or one of these to compare it to, and that is The Voyage of the Space Beagle. And I believe, was this the one that they sued, that he said Alien ripped him off and he took Alien to court? I think it is. And I don't know what happened with that. When I read this, we'll deep dive into that whole thing. But yeah, I'm glad to have this because I think it's Vogt's most famous, and I've heard the best, and this cover's outstanding, so I'm glad to have that. I got a great Daw book, Sleepwalker's World by Gordon R. Dickson. Never read any Dickson, but I love this cover. I think it is, what's the artist's name? Freyas? It's a first, yeah, Kelly Freyas. Absolutely awesome artist. I love any book that I see that he's done the art for. I can usually tell, and I have a tendency to grab it right up. I do have quite a few other Dickson works, and I don't know what he's like as a writer. I look forward to reading some of his stuff in the future. Another Dune find. This is Chapter House Dune. Probably just an 80s paperback. I grabbed it really... I think I have a first edition of this, but I grabbed this one just because it was in such good condition. Makes a great reading copy of Chapter House Dune, and I know that Dune is going to be all the rage now after this second movie comes out. Really exciting. Found a really interesting Ursula Le Guin book. I'm not familiar with this. The Wild Girls Plus is the name of this. It has a couple of stories and then an interview with her. Looks really interesting. I'm excited to dive into this. PM Press, Outspoken Authors, Ursula K. Le Guin. Looks really fun. Oh, another Dixon. And I believe maybe Kelly Freyas again. The Pritchard Mass. If you guys have read any of Dixon, let me know what you think. See, if you think he's up my alley, I'll move him up to check him out. Yeah, Kelly Freyas. Again with the cover art. Love his cover art. Found an incredible copy of The October Country by Ray Bradbury, where you can see inside this guy's brain, and it's got all these things that connect to the story going on. It's a 50 cents. It's Ballantine, it looks like. Yeah, Ballantine. And it looks like this is a 64 copy, 1964. Great old Ray Bradbury copy with a really wonderful cover art. I pick up any Ray Bradbury I can find, honestly. I love him. I got some John Varley, and this was actually an accident. One of you commented on, I think it was my Philip K. Dick video, and said Jack Vance is somebody that I should read. That Jack Vance is as weird and fun as Philip K. Dick. And for some odd reason, when I got to the bookstore and saw John Varley, I thought this was Jack Vance. Or I thought that the commenter had said John Varley. Their names are similar. So I grabbed John Varley. But that doesn't really hurt my feelings because I don't know if John Varley is any good or not. And now I'll have a chance to give him a read. This is his first novel. And it's just a book club edition. But it's got a cool cover art. And I'm excited to give it a go. I also got The Persistence of Vision. And this one, when I read the same writer, John Varley, when I read the synopsis, looked really interesting. So if you've read any John Varley and you think I'd like him, let me know. I've now got a couple that I can read by him. This was really interesting. Susanna Clarke, The Ladies of Grace Adieu and Other Stories. And the back says that these are all really inspired by fairy tales and folk tales. And that is a huge interest of mine. And I really enjoyed her other book. And I haven't read it. I mean, the thing is a brick. It is so thick. I think it's called Mr. Noel. Mr. Norrell. Oh, yeah. Jonathan Strange. Sorry, I have to look at this. My fantasy bookshelf's over here. All my science fiction's over here. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I watched the Netflix series. I think it was Netflix when it first came out. And I really enjoyed it. And then when they talked about this being inspired by fairy tales. I love modern retellings of fairy tales. I had to grab this. Looks really interesting. Ian M. Banks, Look to Windward, which I think is a culture novel. I see this recommended all the time. Not this specific novel, but culture novels and Ian M. Banks. So I always keep my eye open for any Ian M. Banks that I can find. And this is, I believe, the first I've found. So this will be my first culture novel. It's a first edition. And I don't know if you have to read the culture novels in order or if I can just jump into this one. I'll do some more research on it before I jump into it and see if there's a specific order that I should read these in. This is a big one. It's a box set of The Tale of Genji by Murasaki Shikibu. And it's Seidenstickers translation. And this is purported to be the world's first novel. It was written in the 10th century in Japan. And it is the first novel written in prose, I believe, instead of poetry. That is an interesting claim to make, but that's the claim that I often see stated about this novel, and it makes sense. The reason that it wasn't written in poetry, that it was written in the novel form, is because it was written by a woman, and women in court at that time were not able to learn Chinese characters. So Murasaki Shikibu really wanted to write, so she created her own phonetic alphabet for the Japanese and wrote this story. And I'm not sure, I think part of her phonetic alphabet became hiragana, and part katakana. I'm not 100% sure on this. It's been a long time since I was in school learning about Japanese literature. But yeah, this is an incredible novel if you're interested in reading, first off, the world's first novel. Second off, it's incredible work written by a female, which you don't find a lot of from that time. I think Sei Shonagon is the only other one from this era. Everything else is poetry by men. And I've read large chunks of this. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I've never finished it entirely. They often abridge it because there's certain chapters that are more famous and people enjoy more than others. And it's such an epic work that you can find abridged versions of it that in my opinion, work just as well. The chapters that are cut don't hurt the story very much. And it's basically the story of a Japanese playboy in court at the time. And I highly recommend it. And I couldn't believe I found this awesome box set of it. Really, really cool. And last but not least, I found the Heritage Press version of The War of the Worlds and the Time Machine by H.G. Wells. They did it like a double, which I absolutely love. So if you open it this way, it's The War of the Worlds, and it has some incredible art. That was what really drew me to it. Let me see if I can find one of these cool pictures here. I don't know if you can see this very well, but these are people looking into the pit and the spaceships in the pit, and one of the arms are coming out. Really cool. And then if you flip it over, you have the time machine on the other side. And my favorite picture that I saw from this one were the crabs from the future, where it goes to goes far enough into the future where the world is just inhabited by giant crab things. So really beautiful heritage copy of The War of the Worlds and the Time Machine. These will replace the copies that I have just because it's such a nice collection. I think the copies I have originally were older, but this is such an outstanding collection that this is the one that I will keep. All right, so there you go. That is what the channel's up to, and a book haul. Again, if you'd like to follow along with whatever we're reading, please feel free to do so. I'm currently reading Deus Irae by Zelazny and Dick, and I'm also going to be reading The Other Highway by Ray Bradbury for next week. My brother is planning on watching Blade Runner 2049 and the second Dune movie for next week. So those are the videos that you can look forward to. All right, thank you very much for watching this to the end. If you liked it, please click like. And if you like this kind of content, please subscribe. We'll be doing a lot of it in the future. Thank you so much.